Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lauren Cohen, international lawyer and real estate expert. I am here on my amazing podcast, Investing Across Borders, with my most amazing guest, Meghan Kelley. Meghan and I met a couple of months ago after she joined this incredible company that I'm part of, eXp Realty. And literally, she and her business partner, colleague, Michael Valdez, have changed the face of real estate forever, changed my life in many ways because of this amazingly international company, and brought 5 countries into the company in the past 2 months. Now, I had Michael on the show the other day, but Meghan is the female face of the international growth. And of course, for me, that resonates in an amazing way. And Meghan and I, since we first connected, I remember we started chatting and it was like the meeting was over and we hadn't even discussed the business at hand because we just started chatting, which tends to happen when you have somebody that's a like-minded, driven female entrepreneur who likes making a difference. Meghan, welcome to the show. Please tell us just a little bit about you and what brings you to eXp.
Okay, great. Thank you. And yes, I've enjoyed all of our conversations, even when we have to reschedule 6 times because
time
of our
and
schedules.
time. How many times? 6 times. It wasn't you, it was me. It was always something.
I know, it's crazy, but we're here and we
We're
made
here.
it. So I came to eXp about 4 months ago. I was with a company with Realty for 18 years, and I had experience with working in a brand with Sotheby's Realty, working with Michael. I worked for the CEO of Realty Franchise Group for a couple of years, and then I was working on recruiting and retention for the 6 brands, and I saw this position posted, and I tell everyone it was like a trifecta. You know, it was working with Michael or working for Michael again, and I learned something from him every time I have a conversation. It was, being able to be part of something new and big and help grow something.
Amazing. I'm getting goosebumps. It's like, it's
I know.
crazy.
I love, like, this is like this is my dream job. I saw the
Yeah.
description and I was like, I wrote that in my dreams. But
And being
able
remote, of course, which was even more amazing, not just right now, but in general, because they can do anything you want from anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's the international piece of it too.
Yeah.
So when we can start traveling again, I have worked with, when Michael was opening countries, I helped his team with, Philippines, Japan, Brazil, Panama, Belize. Belize was my favorite.
Why?
All different places, and to get that experience again and be able to get out there. That was the third piece that I was just like, if I can get this job, I have found my home for life, because I love eXp and I love the people, and all of those things just made it perfect.
It's amazing. It's like, as somebody who has been a realtor for 12 years and really never been involved in the real estate industry or the brokerages that I had basically I just hung my license with the brokerage. That was the extent of it. And this company is so collaborative and so all about the whole. Like, it's a holistic approach which matches my approach in business, and I think that's what drives me every single day. I can't even help. I was telling Meghan before we started, there's a woman that said to me, I will never get my real estate license ever. And then I showed her the model and she's like, I am getting my real estate license, and she just signed up a couple of hours ago. So it's an incredible story because it is so new and so unique, and we're getting a lot of people that are like yesterday, we've been talking to this one guy just outside of Toronto for almost a year, Meghan, and he was kind of like, I don't need it. It's not my thing. I do very well buying and selling real estate, that story. And yesterday he said, I'm signing up January 1st. I'm like, great, we're in. This is exciting. So It's a story that has to be told. The stock has gone crazy. And that's a story, somebody told me to buy the stock when it was $8 back in March, and I didn't. I did buy it, but it wasn't $8 when I bought it. And now yesterday, I think it was like 82. It's a crazy story. So Meghan, in your experience, like when you've had a lot of experience opening real estate companies internationally, what is the one thing that you've noticed to be the most differentiating factor for eXp in that opening, other than, of course, the fact that you're not there?
Yeah, that's a huge piece. For eXp, most of the countries that you go into with the real estate model, you're going to be the franchise, right? And you're going to have a master franchise. They're going to run the business as they see fit because they've purchased that rights from you. So with EXP, we're the only brokerage that is actually operating in each country. So we have our legal entity set up, we have our business set up, we have banking. We are EXP India or EXP Portugal. So that is a huge differentiator for me because it's still connected to the business, but we have those in-country teams that know the local market that can run the business there versus having, kind of that disconnect or middleman where you don't have that control so much over how things are
Right.
being run and how things are going. So that to me is a huge differentiator.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm very familiar with franchise brands because I've franchised many brands, but I'm not familiar with franchises, or I wasn't familiar with franchises within the real estate industry. As a matter of fact, when I joined EXP, I didn't even hear of some of the brands like that KW brand, for example, that, people are coming over in droves. I'd never even, I mean, I heard of it, but it wasn't like a topic of daily conversation. I'm a lawyer. And now it's a topic of daily conversation because you just can't help it. I mean, it's so exciting. Michael posted yesterday, I'm sure you're familiar with the video of the 9 countries now that we're in. And just like that, and it's just the tip of the iceberg, because I know we talked about double digits next year. January 7th, we're going to hear about the first quarter. And, I can't even get this out of you privately where we're going into, but it's exciting stuff. And having this totally global business is super, super exciting. Tell us a little bit about in the past, like you've obviously seen a lot of international investors and international realtors. What would you say is the one thing that you've seen as a faux pas that kind of has been corrected and maybe that EXP is doing right? Maybe the franchise brand is probably one of them, according to what you're saying, right? But what else?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that is a big piece of it. Just having that control and that ability to work with the broker in country and make sure that whatever we're doing, it's actually and truly a localized business. Because we know people are going to leave us as soon as they feel like it's a U.S. business operating in their country.
No way.
They're out,
Yeah.
and you can't recover from that very
No.
easily. It takes years, and being in this industry for so long, I know that and rightfully so, agents need to be confident and comfortable with their company. And if you lose that confidence right from day one, it's going to be 4 or 5 years before you get that back. So making sure that we have that localization, and then also all of the support that they need at the onboarding stage. So I think
Right.
if you don't onboard the agents correctly, if you're not giving them all the information they need, it's frustrating. I onboarded here at EXP from the US perspective, and it was great because I got all the emails, I had a personal concierge. So those are the types of things that we need to make sure we're doing in each country, but in their own language, to make sure that the agents feel welcome and stay and want to be with us and understand
Right.
why we're the best.
Right.
So,
Even the US experience has changed drastically since I came in, and I've been with the company about a year. And when I came in, I didn't even know there was a concierge. Now, it may have just been that I was a blip because I was supposed to know. Because I've had my license so long, I wasn't assigned a mentor, which is fine. But it's just an interesting thing because as the company morphs and grows, so do the systems, obviously, and the way that everything is approached. And as you said, now you've got a team under you that's implementing various things. So it's not all on you and Michael. And that's what's happening. As the company matures, so do the systems. And the systems are going to drive ultimately a lot of the success, because without those systems, you're not going to flourish. You're going to be unsuccessful. So when obviously you've seen people from all other countries that have joined these US real estate businesses, right? And what do you think, what have you seen as the biggest difference between non-US real estate industry people and US real estate people? Could you identify, like, is there a huge cultural difference? Or even in the countries that we've just expanded into? Like, how does, obviously one of them is licensing. Like we just talked
yes.
about in Canada, the licensing process is much more arduous than here. But then again, you go to India and you pay some money and you basically have a license to practice real estate. So what else?
Yeah, so licensing is huge. That's one of the things that always fascinates me. I think it was Ireland, like you have to have a 4-year degree to sell real estate. And then, like you said, you could be in Mexico, and as if you're a resident, you can,
How are
live there
you?
a certain
Here's
amount
some
of time of
money.
the year. Yeah, go ahead. So that's always fascinating to me. The different types of markets are interesting, and how. I had too many thoughts at one time. Different types of markets. So there's the, open markets where people can just sell any listing. There's no
Right.
listing agreements. It's, you just grab what you want and throw it out on the internet. So working with our brokers and our agents to figure out how to accommodate that and make sure that they're not getting taken advantage of, and see how we can operate a little bit differently to avoid any of those issues is fun and interesting. You'll see a lot of watermarks on our photos. And then you have, the different markets and how they operate. Like if you look at Portugal, in Lisbon, there's a real estate office almost every other door, and it's small teams. Similar in India, there's a lot of small teams. But then if you go to another area like Mexico or somewhere else, you have these mega teams.
Right.
So the market kind of dictates how you form your business and your team as an agent in a lot of these different countries. So learning all of those nuances is quite interesting too. One of the things I found cool was with the UK, and speaking with Adam Day, our broker there, agents are paid a salary, but in the UK and similar in other countries. But so to get them to come over to our business model, they're giving up a salary.
Yeah.
And they're starting that we've built a good base there, and people are starting to talk. But to get over that hurdle of people who are like that security of a salary going to the revenue share and having commissions and things like that, it's a whole different conversation that you're having with somebody that you would in the US to try to recruit them and bring them over to your team.
Yeah, I think maybe the analogy might be dealing with a broker here that thinks that they have it all together. Oh, I'm not giving up my brokerage because I'm in control. And versus, well, now I don't have to have all that liability. That's the discussion I have. Now I can still operate independently under the EXP brand. Like one of our companies, or one of our downlines, is Cardia Real Estate, a division of EXP Realty. So that's how it works. And the plan with them was to develop their own brokerage. So so in this modern company, let's talk about some of the female representation, because obviously it's a little different being a female at a generally male table, which I deal with every single day. And how have you noticed different reactions from these different countries? Like, for example, in India, you're going to have a very different cultural approach to women, I would think, and I don't know if you've experienced it as much, than you would in South Africa, for example, or in the UK, or for sure in Canada, but that's not even here nor there, But what would you say, like, have you noticed a lot of those differences within the company? Obviously can't identify, but obviously they're into diversity and everything, but have you seen that? And what about in terms of the countries and the cultures?
So I would say within EXP, I definitely feel more of a family than I've ever felt.
Yeah.
I don't feel the restrictions that you can feel when you're in meetings and you're the only woman, which I've lived most of my life with. I started working at 19, and you start to believe things and you start to keep quiet. And I've had male bosses tell me in the past, well, you should speak more in meetings, or you should talk louder, but when I did, then they would shut me down and dismiss what I was saying, and then repeat the same thing that I just said in a different
and
way.
Make it their idea, right?
Like, wait a minute.
Right. It
So
has to come from them to be smart. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I've gotten out of my shell. I love working with Michael, and you'll see Mike, if you look at Michael's, his whole organization, I think we're 90% women.
Well, he's smart, because we work.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's smart. Yeah, he's got a great team. But he is not like that. So it's just been such a breath of fresh air to be in an environment where I can speak my mind and not feel like I'm talking out of turn. And even with any meetings, being in meetings with any of the leadership or anybody else, it's been such a great experience. I'm so happy here. I can't even gush enough. But from an international perspective and working with different countries, I actually have a positive experience. We were looking for a broker in India, and we were working with a woman who has quite an extensive, resume in India, and she was so impressed with the fact that the director of global operations working for Michael was a woman, that was like part of the reason she was talking to us, because she just said, we need to have this representation. And it's just amazing that, Michael has chosen you, and, all this stuff. So it was such a cool thing to hear that you don't think about. I'm heads down. I do my job. I'm happy. I'm not trying to, cause any waves. I just want to do a good job and, do some good things for the people out there. And so for somebody to say that to me, I was like, it gave me pause, and I'm like, oh wow, actually this is kind of cool. Like, wait a minute.
Right. Right.
So that I would like to, I like to share a positive experience about that.
Well, that's good.
There's
I'm
definitely
glad. I
been
like
some,
that a lot. And because I
yeah.
wouldn't have expected that to be the case, but I mean, certainly the world is changing, but it's not changing as quickly as we would like, for sure. And, in my industry, certainly, especially when I was dealing with EB5 and raising foreign capital and dealing with all these humongous projects all over the country, 9 out of 10 people at the table every single time were men. And 9 out of 10 real estate investors on a big scale are men. And we, as women, I think, instead of feeling like for me, it's always been, you guys are lucky to have me here. Okay. Instead of being like intimidated in any way. And
Yeah.
maybe that's just based on, our own upbringing and how we show up in the world. I'm a single mom and I have a son, and it's really important for me that he's like, mommy, all you ever do is work. And I'm like, well, that's true.
I
Like,
love
yeah,
you.
it's like but on the other hand of that, I'm not, he unfortunately doesn't get the home cooked meals and the cookies and all of that, but he sees somebody that is making an impact and working with people that want to be change makers like you guys are. Like, you came in and took this company by a storm and have opened 5 countries in 2 months, and lots more to come, and that's just crazy. And there's no time to sleep when you're building an empire, literally. And
Yeah.
that's what we're all doing. And one of the beautiful parts about that is that we all have a vested interest. The part of the family aspect is also that we are all owners. And that is something so different in the EXP model, that every single one of us, as soon as we do our first deal or our first transaction or whatever that case may be,
Yeah.
we own shares. And if you had that opportunity, like there are so many millionaires that have been made in this past few months with the stock going crazy, and people
I
that came
know.
in years ago, they have, I mean, they have gifted stock that's worth millions of dollars, and it's just because they've been doing what they do best. And that's an amazing story, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, whatever, but we all are sharing. And I find, like, when I have a prospective agent to recruit in another city that we're not in, particularly like in Toronto, which is my hometown, we have
Mhm.
people that we can go to every day of the week that will always, always participate in a call. And that's true for anywhere. You reach out to someone in Chicago, you rarely get somebody saying, well, why do you need me? Well, because you're there, you know the lay of the land. It's different than here in Boca Raton, Florida, or in New Jersey,
Mhm.
or Philly, or wherever. And that's such a unique model in EXP.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And even like looking at, you were talking about stock and the network. I'm looking to move, so I was like, well, I'm going to use an EXP agent, and I found this woman who's amazing, Tara Stone. If you live in New Jersey, with EXP, I don't know if I'm allowed to endorse anybody, but just from my experience, she's been fantastic. But we were talking when we were looking at some of the places she was bringing me to about the stock, and like, just talking about the people that were in at $8. And I came over in August. I think we were at 34, and I bought some, just because I was like, oh, let me buy some stock.
Right.
And that was 34, and I feel like I've made out. I can't imagine. Like, if I was at 8, I'd be throwing parties. But you know, it's just that network though of being able to reach out, even for myself, to be able to, you know, find an agent to work with and find a strong woman like you. Actually, I should introduce you to her. She's great. To have that here, it's just there's so many levels of networking and communication within the company, between referrals and just how many people have recommended brokers in different countries for us because of the network
Right.
that they have.
Right.
That's been, the outreach is amazing. I just talked to some people from a couple countries yesterday to talk about what the interest is there, and they have people that could be brokers. So, you know,
That sounds
it's
so
so
funny, Megan. I just talked
great.
to people in a couple of
I
countries
know.
yesterday. Like, it's just no big deal. I just talked to,
I know.
like, I talk to people in a couple of countries every day because that's what I do. And it's just so funny. Like, you don't think about the fact that you're like, today I've been on with China, Hong Kong, Canada, you know, America. Imagine that. I'm going to have a call later with India, Israel. Like, it's a crazy world
Well,
that we live in. And
actually, if you want to know, it's kind of funny. What today, before this, I've been on with the UK, a country to be named at a later date, Mexico, Portugal twice, and then this call. So yeah, it's kind of weird. It's definitely you feel like it starts to be normal, but then every once in a while you're like, wait, I just spoke with 6 different countries this morning,
yeah.
and it's 10 o'clock.
Right. It's a crazy, crazy story. Megan, I so appreciate you. I so appreciate your friendship and your kindness and your generosity and you showing up to join my show. We're going to have another podcast. We're going to start doing this regularly, and we'll bring you on after after the countries are named on the 7th of January, which I'll be waiting with bated breath, as I always do. And we'll be working on a lot of exciting things together. Thank you so much. I wish you a very Merry Christmas. And if anybody wants to reach you, what is the best way to reach you?
Workplace chat or Meghan.Kelley@exprealty.net. I think my name's shown how to spell. It's a little,
Yeah,
got a few extra
there.
letters.
MEGHAN.KELLEY@exprealty.net. So the corporate.
And I'm also on LinkedIn all the time. So
right. Corporate people that work for corporateget.net, and those of us that are just the peon realtors get.com. But anyway, not peon. We are making a difference in the world. Megan, thank you for being a strong woman. Thank you for being an impactful woman. And thank you for your international drive and success. And I'm so excited to be a part of your world. And again, happy holidays.
Oh, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.